Hello, welcome to my channel. As I previously mentioned, every day I will be discussing two or total different subject, and the series is should contain 7 videos. And I've stopped counting. Which one is it? And yes, and for today's topic, it will be about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Yes, and to not perjure to what am I saying? And to make it short, I will give a short background of when the conflict started and to lead the international to intervene and starting to propose peace talks between the two actors. Let's follow. First, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is understood to be an existential conflict between the two groups, as they share two different identity, but they are fighting over the same territory. They are claiming the same territory as their own homeland, and for political also interests, which is mostly Jerusalem. Okay, and also it's kind of like it sees a trait of ideology where one see the identity of the others as a threat for them. So, and to trace back the conflict, we can say that in the early 1948, the Arab-Israeli war that involved Israel and 5 other nations. And after gaining their independence from Britain, as they were British colonies, and Israel was left with the control of most of the territories, and Jordan had control over the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. And in the 6-day war, as they call it, that happened, Israel regained control over those two territories, which were the Gaza and the West Bank. And since then, constant standoff had evolved between Palestinians and Israelis for those territories, for geographical rapprochement. And talking about what exactly led to the international to start having a foothold in this conflict, were studied in 1987, where the first Intifada broke out. It was a tension between Palestinians and Israelis over the ongoing occupation in Gaza and the West Bank. The tension evoked and left hundreds of people dead, and that suscited the intervention of the international along a peace process, and it was called the Oslo Peace Accord. The Oslo Peace Accord was signed in 1993 at the White House, where the representative of Israel Yitzhak Rabin, Yasser Arafat for the PLO, and the former US President Bill Clinton. And yes, and our representative of Norway to be the principal mediator for that peace process. That's why it was called after the capital of Norway, Oslo. The Oslo Accord. Okay, and it is said that the beginning of that peace process could lead to a peace treaty between the two actors, based on resolution of the UN Security Councils. And yes, and the agreed principles were based on, first, the withdrawal of Israeli forces in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank part, and also Palestinian white to an interim authority. And third, letters of mutual recognition from the Israeli government to recognize the PLO as legitimate representative of the Palestinian people. It should be noted that all these negotiations happened in secrecy, as Israel previously refused peace talks with Palestine, as they considered it to be as they considered the PLO as a terrorist organization. They also signed a second accord in 1995 in Egypt, but still then, even after those two accords, emerged a second intifada in the year 2000 to 2005, and many other standoffs occurred between the two groups, as they had not found a fair compromise or final consensus to both parties gain. And we can say that Israel, in a sense, benefit more from the eventual process than Palestine, and also seeing the intervention of other international parties that also didn't help to facilitate or gain resolution for both parties. And we can say that Norway presence was somehow not really helpful for the two parties to find a consensus in stopping that conflicts, that ever-ending conflict. And we can analyze in the recent outbreak of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict of the last month, in May of this year, 2020. It was marked by protests and riots, rocket attack on Israel by Hamas and Palestinians, and also Israeli strike to fight back, targeting the Gaza Strip. But this time, fortunately, um, both parties found an early consensus and agreed on a ceasefire in May 21st, 2020 of this year, and stopped this conflict. But as it concerned for the future, we cannot say the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is over. Still, there are, I can say, limit of neighbors, so there might be constant turmoil, but I think it's only depend on them, especially to find a consensus and see how they can live as Arab borders in the region. Yes, and I don't think they actually need other international interventions for them to have peace talk and see how they can manage the conflict and find a compromise and a peace prospect between them.